Thank you. Terence, what trends do you observe?
So most importantly, from the perspective of healthcare and AI in healthcare, is regulation. Regulation will continue to take us by storm, the latest of which was and came today from the White House, though it was more broadly sweeping than that of what someone might call a regulatory authority to provide oversight. Though I think that generally speaking, regulation will continue to affect us. The regulation from the White House today was more about what can we do with large companies that are in focus versus smaller companies that probably will run under the radar, though I don't think that that's realistic because everyone is in focus when dealing in healthcare because of the regulations with HIPAA, PII, PHI, and sensitive data, because it's all sensitive data as far as we're concerned. We can have upper and lower environments. We don't have to move data between upper and lower environments, but it's all sensitive data regardless. So it all falls under, a SOC 2. I think that ultimately, as regulation starts to take hold, I think Europe is in a much better position to regulate it. We're probably in a much better position to build it. Though I think that generally speaking, regulation needs to come from the standpoint that people understand what AI is. And I still think that we're at a point where maybe the understanding is not there. Though regulation as a trend will continue. And it looks like that's going to happen for the foreseeable future.
You're currently involved in a project that Andreessen Horowitz's firm describes as the next exponential opportunity. Healthcare times fintech seems to be what will really change the paradigm. We have all kinds of beautiful technologies deployed for all other domains, but we're still struggling with capturing the revenue fully and reducing those errors. So can you share with our audience what you're doing now and the value and the impact on the ecosystem?
Yeah, absolutely. So I come from a place where we believe that this is about solving problems, and in particular business problems. Healthcare certainly has a number of both medical assessment problems as well as business problems. And the business problems are exaggerated by hospitals closing their doors in sectors around the country that people thought would not be the case. They are in a cash crunch position, not to get into a discussion about economics, though I think that they were ready for a slowdown and coming out of COVID, COVID payments going away. But I don't believe that they were ready for inflation, and that has caused a disruption in this. We need a strong set of healthcare options in this country and places to go. And so looking at some of the largest problems that we see in healthcare, it is defined this way. It is in the revenue cycle. It is about the fact that humans cannot code claims well, reliably, accurately, or with any level of confidence whatsoever. This has been going on for a very long time. This is not new, but solving it is a very hard problem, though what you also have is that it leads to a different issue. It leads to denials. It leads to adjustments that are unforeseen, that then leads to another problem, which is long AR days, the time to actually get paid. These are problems that continue to proliferate. We, 6 years ago, started a deep dive on healthcare to uncover these issues and the real causes of these problems, and then set out a course to actually build an MVP. Fast forward 6 years, we are now running in several healthcare systems and also on the professional side as well, with an autonomous coder that is not actually built the way you think it would be built. Data is a big factor of AI. And what we found early on is that you would never have enough claims data to train AI reliably, because every single encounter that you have is different. My encounter alone, if I go today, could be different than my encounter 2 months from now. And so it's about reliability of data that can properly train AI. And we found that it wasn't that data. We found that this was about how doctors speak, that Dr. A can diagnose patient X, and it could be 3 words. Dr. B do the same thing. It could be 25 words buried in a paragraph. Humans have problems with that. By the way, machines have problems with it. So it is also a factor. But our autonomous coder built on language uses not only metric modeling, but linguistics in order to determine how doctors speak. We can profile them, and we can determine that when Dr. A says this, he or she means this particular code, because it translates that way. We also built an AI-powered risk modeling system that's capable of evaluating a claim after it's coded for all the reasons why it could be adjusted and or actually denied. And that would be based on adjustment, denial, and remark codes. And that could happen up front instead of on the back end. So that we figured that if we could code them properly and risk profile them properly, that we would then bring the financial side in, is that we'd adjudicate those claims at discharge for those patients. And that is exactly what we're doing now. That is a big, big business. It means that you move AR days to 0 for healthcare providers. That is new as well. And so we have a payments platform that allows that to happen in the form of instant payments. It does include the basis of matching 837 to 835, which is claim and remit. And so that's an auto reconciliation that takes place. And it's a full transparency and tracking. We are entering into a pilot with CAQH, which oversights healthcare payments in the US. As an organization whose board is made up of 9 payers. And we'll be actually going through a pilot here shortly to demonstrate instant payments and what that actually looks like. So as we move forward, we're solving 3 major business problems with AI across the board that are different forms of AI. They use different tools coming together to build a intelligent system of engagement. It's not the human that's engaging, though. It's another machine. And that's what's kind of interesting. It's the EMR. So it is capable of reading doctors' notes, parsing them, understanding them, and then coding those notes in a way, whether it's complexity with inpatient or less complex with outpatient, or emergency management or ambulatory or whatever it may be, based on the encounters. This is exceptional if we can move it into mainstream, which is what we're planning to do now. I think some of the biggest challenges that we have in healthcare is change. Change is always a concern, and it's a greater concern when you go into organizations that have been operating the same way for many, many years and are comfortable doing so. By building a system of engagement that is AI-based, that can automate, provide transparency, and give tools to obviate fraud in certain circumstances, a la payments, you make great strides in the overall opportunities that healthcare has to accelerate payments and fix big business problems like we discussed. That means change. And change is scary for everybody, even in normal circumstances, not to mention those in healthcare. And in particular in coding, if you are addressing coding in such a way that a human will not see a claim in a hospital, as an example, unless the AI can't handle that claim, then that could be problematic for some that have been operating that way for a very long time. How we address change is important. It's not insurmountable. It's certainly something that can be dealt with. How we deal with it, though, is not dissimilar to when you want to do something. How do you create your speech and what comes out of your mouth in such a way that people can feel good and feel comfortable about what we're doing? That means that we constantly have to cite examples, and there is a necessity to run these types of systems of engagement in parallel to the current process that's going on within the hospital today, as an example, in order to get to what the end result is. There's also a challenge with accuracy. How accuracy is defined is an interesting discussion when dealing with coding. Is accuracy the ability to detect language in a doctor's note effectively and properly and then code it? Well, maybe, but isn't accuracy governed by one arbiter, and that's whether or not it gets paid? Not if it gets paid the most or the least, but does it get paid? And accuracy of a claim and accuracy of coding is not a language problem, but it is a payments problem ultimately. And your arbiter is, in fact, does it get paid? And is your AI actually coding in such a way that you're not dealing with upcoding and downcoding, which, by the way, is illegal? And so how do we code so that it's the proper code? That is governed by payment. But, and I'll throw one but out there, is when we address payment, this is outside of denials and adjustments. The claim might have gotten paid, and it might have gotten paid if there wasn't an adjustment there, in other words, like patient responsibility and other things. So it really is about payment. And so we have to consider these things when looking at making changes within an environment and determining, well, what are the changes that are taking place? Are they accuracy changes? Are they coding changes? Are they payments changes? What is going on? And we have to answer those questions comprehensively. And I think that from an overall challenge perspective, those are sizable and they need to be discussed. And so the sales process may be a little different, therefore, but you can make great strides when dealing in these organizations and solving some big business problems. So it makes sense to still push ahead.